Self-Love is the New Sexy, the podcast devoted to helping you overcome life's most painful and stubborn challenges so you can feel great, have more energy, and live stress-free every day. To reach your full potential, simply work with the powerful spiritual principles that are readily accessible to everyone. It's easier than you think, and on today's show, W. Mark Watts is going to show you how starting with self-love is the key to joyously and harmoniously making that happen.
Hey everybody, it's W. Mark Watts. I want to say hello, welcome, and thank you for coming and hanging out with me for an episode of Self-Love is the New Sexy. And today's episode, I'm probably going to be a little more brief than normal, but just want to kind of get in here and get out. I had something occur to me that I really want to kind of talk about today that I think is a very important part of our growth and us feeling sexy about who we are every day. And it's, know your value and don't settle. Know your value and don't settle. I remember the very first job I interviewed for out of college, the very first professional job I interviewed for. I ended up interviewing with the company. It went well, and they called me the next day and made me an offer. And I thought the offer was low. Thought it was on the low side for a new graduate with an engineering degree. And so I wasn't happy with the number. So I called my sister at the time, who's really good and who had been through some of these things before. And I mentioned it to her, and she said, well, why don't you negotiate? And I was like, wow, negotiate? I can negotiate this salary? I can make a counter offer? And she said, yeah, absolutely. And that was the first time I had ever thought about really shooting or pushing for my value, what I thought I brought to the table and what I was worth. And this would be the first time that I would actually do it. And at the time, the job market wasn't really strong. And so I was a little leery and afraid, to be honest with you. I was afraid to counteroffer, thinking I might lose the job or lose the opportunity. And so, but I thought about it, fairly briefly. And I decided that, hey, my sister wouldn't lead me wrong. So I'm going to try it. So I came up with the number that I would be happy working for. And then I actually padded that number because I figured, hey, if I don't get the high end number, then maybe they'll meet me at the number that I'm really happy at. So I created a game plan for myself, and I called the HR lady back and, really thanked her for the opportunity. I was really happy, and I really, just did my whole spiel about liking the company and enjoying. It was in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And then I said, however, I think I would be happy to accept the opportunity if we could meet this particular salary requirement. So, and I don't even really remember what it is at this point. It's been 20 something years, almost 30 years now. So, so she said, okay, let me take it back to my boss and I will get back to you. And so we parted ways, and I'm telling you, that was I felt really good that I had attempted to negotiate my salary. And then I was pretty excited too, coming out of college and learning how this real world works. And so I was really excited about about me taking a stand for myself, because I knew I was not happy with that figure that they had offered me. So we waited, and it was only a day, and she called back the next day and made me an offer at the actual amount that I really wanted. And so I accepted and thus took the job, and there began my professional career in the real world after college. And I have to tell you, I can't tell you how excited I was, how happy I was to be able to take my first position in sales with a great company, an international company, at a salary that I felt I deserved and that I was worth. Even at that time, I had a little bit of experience, and I had my degree, and I knew about where the market was for people coming out of college at that time, especially coming from the same school that I came from with a similar degree. So I was super excited, and I was ready to start my job, and I came with a clear conscience, and I wasn't holding anything back. I wasn't reserved. Didn't have any regrets. I was ready to come and get started my new profession in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina for this company. So, and I tell you that story because numerous times after that, my value and worth to other people, other organizations has been tested. And I understand that that's just the way of the world. They're going to lowball you and try and bring you in or get you to sell your services for as little as possible. And it's your job to get what you think you're worth and what your real value is. And that's super important.
We hope you're enjoying today's show. If so, please take a moment to show your support for the show by leaving us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. If you have questions for W. Mark Watts, please feel free to contact him over at wmarkwatts.com, on Instagram at wmarkwatts, or on Facebook at Self-Love is the New Sexy.
That's super important because if you don't know what your value is, or if you don't get what you think your value is in this world, you will always have regrets. You will always play half full. You won't give 100%. You'll be looking over your shoulder. You'll wish you had. And that is not a good way to do business, and it's not a good way to live. So first off, you have to know your value. And fortunately, I had done my homework in this case, going back to my first job out of college. I had done my homework, so I knew what my value was. And I asked for my value, and I received my value, which gave me a clear conscience when I started that new job. And oftentimes what happens in our lives, whether it be professional or personal, we settle. We don't know what our value is. We're not comfortable with that. And then we accept a job or we accept a relationship or a situation that's less than what we deserve. And first off, number one, we deserve the very best and always, all times. But we have to carry ourselves in a way that we understand it, we believe it, and that other people will see it and believe it. Because first off, we have to feel that way about ourselves. We have to believe we're sexy. We have to believe we're valuable. We have to believe we're great. We have to believe and know what we bring to the table first before anybody else will feel and understand and see that as well. And once they see that, and if they don't see that, then oftentimes you have to make it very clear what you will accept and what you won't accept. And there's been numerous opportunities and occasions since then where either on a job site or offering the services that I offer, people have wanted to offer me less than what my value is and what I'm willing to accept. And I've had to turn down jobs and turn down opportunities to work with people because we could not agree on what I know my value is, which is okay because there's a bountiful amount of opportunities available to us all the time. We may have to search a little harder. We may have to be patient. We may have to wait sometimes. However, still, I will submit to you that wait is often the best thing for us, is to wait, be patient. There's great opportunities out there, but it all starts with us knowing our value and asking for our value. So I submit to you today, do you know your value? And are you willing to receive what your value is in your professional life and your personal life? Are you willing to be patient? Are you willing to do what it takes to get what it is that's rightfully yours? And if not, and that's a big question. And oftentimes, just as it has occurred in my life too, there's fear involved because we really want the opportunity or we think it may go away. And we feel like we have to give in a little bit to get. Now, there are occasions when you may have to figure out creative ways to come up with the overall value that you're worth. And you may have to, there's different ways of looking at achieving the overall goal. But when it's the right thing for you because it'll feel right. It'll feel good. You'll feel it in your stomach and in your soul and your spirit. You'll be at peace with it. So when you're really at peace with the situation, then you've negotiated a good deal. You're in a good spot. You're in a good place. And that's exactly how I felt that day. And I felt on various other occasions. And I've also felt really good about situations where I've had to turn down opportunities or walk away from opportunities for various reasons, because I know if it's right for me, everything's not right for me, and everything's not right for you. So know your value, get your value, don't settle, and be the best that you are each and every day, and make sure you're firm in that. You know what you bring to the table. You know how strong you are. You know what you can do, what you can deliver, and what you've done in the past, so that anyone else who comes in contact with you, who's working with you, who's sharing time with you, will know and understand the same. That's all I have for you today, folks. Continue to stay tuned. Thanks for hanging out with me. It's truly a pleasure every single time I get to create this podcast and record it for you. So again, just in closing, understand your value, get it, don't settle. And I'll look forward to talking with you all again soon. Bye now.
You've been listening to Self-Love is the New Sexy with W. Mark Watts. If you enjoyed today's show, be sure to tell a friend. Also, make sure you never miss an episode by subscribing to our show on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, or wherever you listen to podcasts.